our warm-up act. All right, so I get to start with clock started, got a few minutes, and I'm starting with a circle of hope and one that is already working. It's called collective impact. And that story began in 2008. All right, 2008, the homeless population in this city was growing 30 to 35% every 2 years. In 2008, this city, these agencies, the people in this room said, we have got to do something about this. There are people we are losing, and it's not acceptable. So they started the plan to end homelessness, and that was everybody involved. If we had done nothing in 2008, or just stayed doing the same thing, all of us, the predictability on the ratio would be that we would have over 10,000 on our streets homeless in 2016. Where are we? That's not the case. In 2016, we have 3,222 people who are still homeless, way too many, but the downward trend has begun. We stopped climbing 30% every 2 years. We have a 26% decrease in homelessness per capita in this city alone. The collective impact is working, all right? And so you can leave here today and say, there's hard work to happen, but don't give up, because it is working. What else do we know about collective impact and what it looks like in success? Those are the trends of shelter stays per night in this city from 2008, consecutively down. This is through upturns, downturn, oil bust, no oil, the whole shebang. It's collective impact working. That's not to say these are stays overnight and we still have issues with poverty and too many people homeless and using services, maybe not sleeping in shelter, but we can do it. We're doing it. Look at that trend. Another one, what does collective impact look like when you're inspired? It means that all the agencies, CEOs, board chairs came together just over a year ago and said, listen, we've got another 18 months left in the plan. All right, now we're going to keep working. What can we rally around, all of us together? And they picked 3 things. The first was to house more people. By December 2018, which will be the end quote of the 10-year plan, the goal in this city is to have housed 10,000 people. The exact same, not the same people, but the same 10,000 we said would have been homeless had we done nothing. And guess what? As of today's date, this community, all of you have housed over 8,000. We're on our way. We have another 1,300 by December of next year, and we're going to meet that. Their next goal as a collective was to build more futures. You can't house people if you don't have housing. Permanent supportive housing, different types of housing, transitional housing, apartments, buildings, everything. We have to have space. The goal here was to build in brand new 624 more units of housing. Remember, that's just the shelter. It has to come with supports, but you got to have a space to go to. 511 units already added. By Christmas next year, another 113, and we'll have met that goal. Collective stories. We're all doing it. Third goal, save more lives. And how do you save more lives? You start looking at where are people who are experiencing homelessness spending their time. They're spending it in jail, they're spending it in hospital. I had a former board member who said there are many people living their life 30 days at a time in a jail cell. That is not life. Living in hospital and then on the street and back in the hospital is not life. It's existing, and we can do better. Turn down the trend on how many people have to use health services inappropriately. It's appropriate if you're having a heart attack, go to the ER. But if you're going there for dental care or other things that you should be getting like any other person, let's get them in the community and make sure they're cared for. But it's about partnerships. These leveraging bars on the side, the 10, we're just now starting another, we said 50 more leveraging partnerships by December of next year. 10 are already in play. Things like Recovery Services Task Force, 26 agencies, egos at the door, table, sitting at the table saying we can do this together. And they're doing it. Out of this story and all these people coming together, we learned that there are other individual stories within stories. The narrative changes from Indigenous to families to youth. Homelessness isn't the same for people. And so we had specialized responses built, but they were built by many of you sitting in this room in your agencies. And I particularly point out now the plan to end, the Aboriginal Plan on Homelessness, the Aboriginal Standing Committee on Housing and Homelessness. Built that for their community. Our job is to lift it and help them. Bottom corner, the new family framework. Again, many of you in this room, we're all here today to say family homelessness, unacceptable. Unacceptable. There is a plan. Community came together, your agencies, your people, your front line. Oh my gosh, I can't thank you enough. for what you do at the front line with people, and then you tell those stories, you feed them up, and people like us have to listen and say, how do we organize around it so we're all rowing in the same direction? This was built. In from the cold, one of those leaders at the table saying, listen, we're one of the shelters here, we can be a part of this, and they're doing such tremendous leadership. But here's the reality. We are an ecosystem, all of us. There is no that system is broken. We are the system, all of us. The only time you should point a finger in my belief system is when you're standing in front of a mirror. What can I do? What can I add to this? What can I step away from so somebody else can add to it? That's leadership. That's Calgary. And that's what all of you are doing. We're an ecosystem. But the reality comes to this. Collective impact starts with collective choice. And your choice to be a part of the collective. Because then you're rowing in the same direction. There are so many parts of this collective I need. I only have time, and I know I have 3 minutes, so let me list a couple more. Recovery Services Task Force, the camp team that goes out and does palliative care under bridges for people. The Resolve campaign has 9 agencies working together to raise money to build affordable housing. The outreach teams of DOPE, McMahon's family programs, In from the Cold shelter piece and funneling through the CAA table. It's all within this, and that's our story, and that's the one we're telling nationally and internationally, and we are going to be that urban city that did create absolute zero. And let me be clear, absolute zero means absolute zero tolerance for allowing homelessness to continue, absolute zero tolerance for letting it happen and doing nothing about it, and absolute zero tolerance for standing by and saying it's not me. It's all of us. Thank you for being part of the collective.